Joe Harvey. A freshman, number 14, Emily Citizen. And the freshman, number 23, John Tyler. And your coach for the Texas Warriors, and very well, Jeff Walker. And now for the hosting, the Big Columbia Lady Bobcats. A senior, number 10, Jocelyn Christie. A senior, number 11, Jamie Peters. A senior, number 13, Bailey Allen. A senior, number 20, Brandon Hendricks. And a senior, number 23, Kelly Jennings. Moving on to the weapon assist by Gary Harley Miller.
All right, it is officially game 23, or game three of the fifth and final session of the Caddo County 2024 basketball tournament presented by CK Energy. This is the girls' fifth place consolation game between the Apache Lady Warriors and the Binger Oni Lady Bobcats. I'd like to thank our coverage sponsor for today's live stream and video highlights for Binger High School, Legacy Bank, and for Apache Shamrock Bank. The 2024 Caddo County Basketball Tournament is presented by CK Energy. So nothing doing for Apache to start the game. And the steal puts them back in the driver's seat to hopefully jump out to the early lead. Uncontested three is off the mark. Howling Water trying to get the deep bomb to fall. She had foul trouble in her last game. Apache actually had three players with 4 or 5 fouls. Two fouled out, one ended up with four. Large part reason why they find themselves in the fifth place game here today. Another three outside the key. This one is nothing but net.
Three. From the Texas, number 14, and number 12.
Contact foul. Will kick it back from the bucket. Goes in deep to the paint, trying to set up the play. Can't do so. Dribbles out back, top of the key to reset the play. Allen dishes. Now Jennings with the ball. Another foul for Apache. Keep that in mind. Only 2:15 to go, or 2:15 passed, and they've already had their second team foul. Another steal ends up becoming a moot point.
On Macaroni, number 13, Bailey Allen.
I'd like to thank everybody that is tuning in through Prep Nation. We have posted viewership numbers for the tournament. It has been especially well viewed. I want to thank every single person who could not come out to the Anadarko Fieldhouse for whatever reason, work, distance, cold, not feeling well. It is appreciated when you watch and tune in. It makes what we do worth the effort. There's no worse feeling in the world than A, nobody noticing what you're doing, B, nobody watching what you're doing, and C, nobody caring what you're doing. So thank each of you that have tuned in every day. If you're curious about the top build games, all of these numbers are as of 10 a.m. this morning. So keep in mind some of them will significantly change, especially games from yesterday, and ones today will be in flux all throughout the weekend. But out of the 20 games that played prior to today's two, Loki the Sickles Mountain View Godebo Girls gets bragging rights with 1,145 viewers. Cement versus Mountain View Godebo Boys, 1,098 viewers. Surreal versus Fort Cobb Broxton Boys, 977. Apache versus Hinton Boys, 968. Hinton versus Mountain View Godebo Girls, 955. Apache versus Loki the Sickles Girls, 950. Those are the highest rated games of the tournament. Thereafter, Apache Bigger Boys, 784. Surreal Fort Cobb Broxton Girls, 740. Gracemont Loki the Sickles Boys, 720. Carnegie Surreal Boys, 716 viewers. Carnegie versus Surreal Girls, 689. Binger versus Mountain View Godebo Boys, 688. Binger versus Fort Cobb Broxton Girls, 680. Carnegie Gracemont Girls, 680. Apache Hinton Girls, 667. Fort Cobb Broxton Loki the Sickles Boys, 652. Apache Cement Girls, 620. Hinton Mountain View Godebo Boys, 617. Binger Carnegie Girls, 534. And then the last game, Carnegie Loki the Sickles Boys, 461. You want to bump those numbers up to give your team bragging rights to thwart a team or beat them maybe perhaps twice? All you have to do is just go to the YouTube channel for Prep Nation TV and go to the live tab. Anything black and white means previously aired or video on demand. Anything red and white means it's live or ongoing. While the YouTube studio processes, sometimes it immediately leaves it red at the conclusion of the game and then even into the next game, and then eventually that'll shift on. So Apache with another stop. Lady Warriors look especially stout on defense here early on in the game. In case you're curious about the seventh place games earlier today, it was a sweep for Gracemont. Girls victorious over Cement 54-25. Boys victorious 90-27. Howling Water with the bucket makes it a 3-point lead. They've doubled up Binger Oni here early on. Apache with an opportunity to get fifth place consolation for the girls. And then the championship game, worst case, runner up for the boys. And the three. Got a tie ball game now after the Bomber Bobcat 3. Dean and Severson doing a cross-court pass between each other. Howling Water goes to the paint. I believe that one is going to count. Potential three-point play forthcoming. Waiting to see the infamous finger drop. For those that enjoy the audio and side of commentating, we do have 8 games today, so there are going to be moments during the game that we will pull back the audio so that we can keep the headset charged. One thing that happens, and I know some of you have noticed this, and I know it's annoying, and I agree 100%. But when the battery starts getting low, you hear chirping and splicing, and it starts doing kind of some wonky, funky things. Sometimes picking up what you don't want to hear, sometimes muffling voices, even sometimes it adds a really bad static. So there is a reason why the average place doesn't do 8 games in a row. There's a reason why most broadcasts are 1 game or 2 games max. And so please be patient. I turn it off or turn it down. That way it doesn't annoy more of you. But I am cognizant of the fact that there's some of you that likes to hear the commentary throughout the game. And so we'll do our best to accommodate everybody today. We've covered 2 games, and now this one underway with 5 more to go. I think I've done more for a state playoff week, but that would be the only scenario in basketball that I've ever done 28 games just for one sport at one tournament. I think we did have one baseball tournament that had pretty close to that. It was a split site, but I had to bounce between locations, so didn't get to do every game of the tournament, but did do 28. And I think I've done 32 and 36 before for state basketball playoffs. But it is very grueling. So my hats go off to Don and Kern both. They sit behind the table, they stay on the station, they do the numbers for you. And you don't have to thank me, but definitely give them an OK Prep shout out. It's not easy to do at any age.
Number 13, Apache.
8-5 lead. Oh, wide open, but she closes the gap quick, strips the ball loose. Actually, a very good defensive play. Didn't foul, just disrupted the play and gets the rebound. You can't really strip that much better. Hallingwater just absolutely just concaved in the paint and prevented any score and shot opportunity to come off. Looked like it was going to be an easy pass and layup for Bingeroni. Yeah, we'll move the camera back over. We had one of the guys with the station trying to tie into the KOCO simulcast. So momentarily, he was right here in front of us. Figure you'd rather see part of the play than all of his face. 23 seconds. Well, it's been a big quarter for Apache. They're up by 6, largest lead of the game. Bingeroni has had their opportunity in moments. Off the fingertip, that's going to keep it alive with 11 seconds to go. We'll have a player substitution for the Warriors. The younger Hallingwater sister now on the floor. Another opportunity for Binger snuffed out by a tough defense by the Apache Lady Warriors. Going to have to post up and a block. Hallingwater, definitely the MVP through one quarter for Apache. Steals, block shots, and scores. She is doing literally a little bit of everything. And just to clarify earlier on the Hallingwaters, Tatum, number 12, she's the older sister, junior, and the Brianna, number 34, the sophomore. It's important that you get those sibling stats correct. I know all too well I had two sisters that were separated by 11 months. And for 1 month, one of them let the other one know just how much older they were, it being 2 year gap.
For the second quarter, Apache. And you're running back.
All right, Binger will get the ball and start the possession. Nobody in imminent foul trouble. The only player on the board or on the floor for that matter, Binger, number 13, has two fouls, being Bailey Allen. So everything manageable. I don't see a single player on the floor for Apache with a foul. And only other player on the floor, Jocelyn Dorsey for Binger, also with one foul. And other than that, that's about as good as it gets. So the fouls reset now every quarter in Oklahoma. It's 5, the magic number for double free throws, 2 and 2, so 1 and 1 after 6, and the accumulative count that would go through a first or second half. In some ways, I think it has actually slowed the game down instead of speeding it up. My observations early on has been that many teams are still missing the first one, hitting a second one, or missing both anyway. So it'll be interesting to see once we get into districts and especially seeding purposes for the district, regional, area, and state playoffs. How much of a strategy some teams may implement with having an express player just foul for the purpose of putting bad free throw shooters on the line. It's easier to trade twos for ones. It's harder to trade threes for twos. And so it can boomerang on you. There could be a situation to where you're trying to play catch up and you're fouling on purpose. And every time you miss your shot, they hit their 2 free throws. So it will definitely be an interesting strategy. I think everybody in Oklahoma had expected the shot clock to be the one issue that OSSAA would address for the calendar year. And instead it ends up being the free throws. So gone are the beautiful days of the 1 and 1. Into the paint, post up. Dorsey can't quite swing it over. So we're going to have an offensive foul call. Pierce will be assessed the foul. I'd like to thank our coverage sponsor for today's live stream and video highlights. For the Apache Lady Warriors Shamrock Bank, and for the Binger Oni Bobcats Legacy Bank. A special shout out to Rod and Pepper. Just off the mark, putback is no good. Binger is just really cold early on in the game, not having much success on jumpers or shots in the paint for that matter.
At Washington 2, Jocelyn Dorsey.
So now the younger Howling-Water, number 34, with her second foul, so keep an eye on that. She joins Binger's J.D. Pierce and Bailey Allen, number 11 and 13, with 2 fouls apiece here early on in the second quarter. And timeout called Bingeroni. You're watching Prep Nation TV coverage of the 2024 Caddo County Basketball Tournament presented by CK Energy. If you haven't given us a subscribe, please do so. Just go to the home channel and click subscribe. It is free. It prioritizes content for you whenever you're inside the YouTube app, so you see our videos more often. And it also helps it make it easier for us to have more subscribers so that we can continue to make the streams free with a sponsor underwriting the cost. And to that end, please show your appreciation to the following businesses that each support the respective 10 squads here for the Caddo County Tournament: the Washita Valley Bank, First National Bank and Trust, Legacy Bank, First National Bank and Trust, First State Bank, Farmers Bank, Legacy Bank, Shamrock Bank. Thank you so much for supporting all 10 teams in action throughout this week for the 2024 Caddo County Basketball Tournament. Sorry about that. I was expecting a side kick, and we got all the way back on the court. And Apache just aggressive throughout. It is paying dividends, and I don't see him letting up on that particular play. As long as you can get a 1 or 2 foot jumper, you're going to take those little one hoppers, and doesn't take much skill to get those to go in. Binger's definitely going to have to tighten up the perimeter defense and also in the paint defense. Got to hit those. 8 point lead for the Warriors, their largest of the game. And the steal for Binger, exactly what they needed to hopefully build some momentum and get back in this game. They have found themselves on the wrong side of a slow, cold start to a slow, cold morning. I got to be honest with you, the earlier game was brutal. Both of them got out of hand. However, one was actually competitive, which makes it even more perplexing. But these early starts for the kids, I'm not in favor of. I personally, I really support a fifth place game, a third place game, and a first place game. And I think anything like seventh or ninth place, I think it kind of devalues the intent and point of the tournament. But the way that the brackets are set in this particular layout with 10 teams participating and there being buys, you have to slot those games because teams aren't eliminated with the second loss sometimes until the final day of the tournament. In this particular case for Cement, they played, their games the first day and then the last day of the tournament. And they're definitely deserving of getting a second crack at it. Obviously, Gracemont made the most of that opportunity and having gone 0-2, finishes the tournament 2-2. Talent Water trying to draw the defender number 20 on top and then force 33 to overcommit so that they could get a backdoor cut and pass or a kick out right there like they just did there. And the shot falls. Ziverson with a really nice trajectory on the back spin of her ball. Really good looking jump shot. 11-point lead now, double digits for the Warriors. Another turnover, Bobcats. So out of the 3 games today, only Gracemont boys have won, having trailed. The Gracemont girls led throughout versus Cement, and Apache has led throughout versus Binger here. So we'll see how this game concludes. Got to take those shots. It was open. I like the movement, so I'm glad she got the points. Binger's going to have to make something happen, and those are the exact moments to do so. If you like the angle of going forward and getting a little bit closer, then do so, but going to have to really start pumping them out. Blocking out has almost been non-existent as well. All right, folks, to conserve battery for the headset, here's what we're going to do. We're going to take you through half, and then I'm going to leave it charging through portions of the third quarter, and then we will pick up on the broadcast again. We're trying to stretch this out to where we keep it powered in between charges. Mine is wireless, which is awesome, but at the same time, with the frequency and signal being next to a sound and tie-in device for a simulcast station, it does pick up some funky static sometimes. So based upon the experience from Monday, I found that if we keep it charged throughout the game more often and use it less, it seems to work better. So if anybody notices any funky thing going on, please be polite, but just let me know. I do check the feed regularly to make sure that nothing weird or odd's going on. Make sure the stream obviously is still up. So hits both free throws. Thank you for tuning in and watching. It is very much appreciated. Final shot of the quarter. Just off the mark. It'll be 18-9 halftime.
Start second half. Kimberly basketball. Football. Hello, Roll, 20. With 4:05 remaining in third quarter, 1 second timeout. Apache. Second and goal. Number 20. Edward Blazer. So, Texas, 23, John. Texas, 20. In a game, we were fortunate to 5. Rescue Texas. There's one more remaining in the third quarter. 57 points. Apache. Second and one. Number 30. Texas, 35. Football. Goes to 0. Second and one. 13. Oh, Joe Harvey. Texas, 35. At the end of the third quarter, this field is being left off at time.
All right, we are back now on the live air for the final fourth quarter. Slow going third, 21-12. Not really many points scored. I believe it, if I remember correctly, it was 18-11 at halftime. So a really slow third quarter. Excuse me. Right where they left off in three prior quarters, Apache goes on the march, unable to get the shot off. Binger dodges one. Still in this ball game, just atypically really passive, kind of similar to what we saw with the Surreal Boys against Fort Cobb Broxton last night. While they were still in the game, they just allowed Fort Cobb to drain minutes and minutes and minutes of clock and just kind of went into a lull, kind of like a turtle shell maneuver. And if Binger is going to win this game, they are going to have to obviously outscore Apache. And to do so, they're going to have to score more points in effect in one quarter than they have almost the entire game. So it's going to be a tall task in order at that. Like the hustle, though, underneath the bucket, trying to get the board.
Checking in for number 10, number 23, Charlotte.
Still a 9-point lead. Only 3 points scored in the third quarter for Apache. If that sounds really bad, only 1 point scored for Binger in the third quarter. So the Bobcats are going to have to start clawing and getting into attack mode. We're on pace for the lowest scoring game of the tournament. And yet another timeout called. Bobcats really struggling to get an offensive presence in the paint, getting shots open on the perimeter. And even the passing has become suspect, with Apache just swarming them and constantly thwarting any opportunity they have to go in or out. You're watching Prep Nation TV coverage of the 2024 Caddo County Basketball Tournament presented by CK Energy. I'd like to thank the coverage sponsor for today's live stream and video highlights for the Apache Lady Warriors Shamrock Bank and for the Binger Oni Lady Bobcats Legacy Bank. This is technically game 3 on the day, or if you're a purist, game 23 on the tournament. Still have 5 more coming up for a total of 28. We're already behind schedule. Oh, nice strip.
Football. Session goes to Peter. Five total in regulation. 60-second time down. Peter.
Well, the crowd did enjoy that. Here come the Lady Warriors on the prowl once again. Ooh, could have been a jump ball call and a travel at that as well. Not saying that he blew both calls, but just saying that at least one of the two should have been called. Oh, looky here, Binger with an opportunity to really make them pay for that miscue.
Shane.
As I said earlier, if Binger's going to win, they're going to have to score more points in one quarter than they had in the entire game. And they're already at 4 since I mentioned that comment. So Siverson just on the wrong end of the turn, third team foul on her. Hopefully you guys didn't hear that sneeze. If you did, I apologize. Mm. Under the hoop. Oh, misses the easy shot. Just got to reset it and be a little bit more methodical with how you plant your feet. Just got a really bad angle in underneath the bucket. In effect, she kind of rejected herself. And the turnover. So we'll see if Binger can capitalize. They trail by 5. Definitely getting more space in the floor now. Here comes the jump shot. Nails it. And timeout called, Apache, and rightly so. They have lost a 9-point lead. And Binger on the verge of scoring more runs, or more points, I should say, in the fourth quarter than they did the prior 3 combined. They had 12 coming into the start of the fourth, and only 1 point scored in the third quarter. It was 19-11 at halftime. So that'll tell you how bad the streak for Apache has been. They've only scored 2 points. So that is not a winning philosophy nor recipe for success. 18-11 lead at half, or 19-11 lead at half, and 21-19 now the score. Game is truly now up for grabs with anybody who wants it can take it. Another jump ball. Calls are just inexplicably not forthcoming. That should have been a jump ball from the get-go. It led to a foul. I kind of share the umbrage of the crowd there on that particular call. Before it became a foul, should have just been a standard jump ball call and done. But that's the second time that they have not called it. 3 off the mark, no good. Binger wisely just lets it go out of bounds. And looky, the Binger Bobcats with an opportunity to perhaps take the lead for the first time in the game, or at least tie it up. They're only now down by 2. Bad pass. Absolutely set player up to get just smashed. The Apache crowd not happy with that call, wanting it clearly thrown out of bounds, which is what it did appear to be, just being real. However, there could have been a foul called on the double tomahawk chop that they registered on the young woman in the paint. So I guess it evened out in the end. Binger with a third crack now, potentially at tying the game or taking their first lead. And we have a fourth chance. But they're face down on the floor once again. .250 remains in the game. Only 2 team fouls apiece, and nobody in imminent trouble for the potential 5 fouls that lead to 2 free throws now. And we'll be heading to the line. The 12:45 game is obviously not going to start on time. We're now about 10 minutes behind schedule, adding in announcements. clock, I would assume that we're going to be about 25 minutes out, 20 minimum, 25 max. So instead of a 12:45 start, I bet you're going to be looking at closer to about a 1 to 105 tip-off. Oh, correction, 115. Sorry about that. Into the paint, and another foul.
And Apache. Number 12.
Well, if it was a brutal third quarter for Binger with only 1 point scored, it has been an even more brutal second half for Apache. Only 2 points scored since the end of the second quarter. 2 in the third, 0 in the fourth quarter so far. Who would have thunk that potentially 22 points could win a game? But the rate these teams are going, that could very well be the case. Binger on the reach around foul, just a little bit over eager to get the rebound. And yet another timeout called. This is precisely how the championship games get off: 50 minutes, an hour and a half in the evening. Just way too many timeouts called in the earlier games. Action that was just back and forth running, fouls, turnovers, timeout, and repeat. Just because you have 6 or 7 or 8 timeouts doesn't mean you should always use them. And if the game is behind schedule, it would definitely be my advice to have an administrator or somebody putting the bug in the ear. Don't be calling unnecessary timeouts. We need to catch back up. Otherwise, it puts everybody else the rest of the day in a bad mood, and everyone else has to accommodate. And can't speak for everybody else, but I've had 2 days so far this week to where I didn't get to bed until after 2 a.m., driving home and then doing last remaining work on cleanup and getting highlights up. Just makes for a grueling day when there's 15 to 20 stoppages a quarter in the game. 21-20. Boone Apache has led throughout from the very opening game, the tip-off when they went down immediately and scored, but they have gone super cold in the second half with only 2 points since halftime. Score was 19-11 at the half. Score was 21-12 at the end of the third quarter. Jump shot. No good. Put back is good. There's the bucket. Finally scores in the second half. And a much-needed shot for Apache back to a 3-point lead. You got to hit those shots. I mean, you just got to hit them. And with the assist, an easy bucket, back to a 1-point lead. 23-22 Apache. And now down to a minute and 35 seconds to go. Stolen by Binger Oni. Can they take their first lead of the game? Here comes the shot. No good. Got to get the board. And she chases it down, but turns it over. Goes to the hoop with the blocked shot. However, I think there's going to be some arm and on the foul, potentially putting her at the free throw line. Howling Water will shoot too. 14 fouls apiece, so the next foul will result in 2 free throws, regardless if it's contact or shooting foul. Misses the first one. I'd like to once again thank our coverage sponsor for today's live stream and video highlights for Bingeroni Legacy Bank and for Apache Shamrock Bank. No, she didn't do herself any favors on that one. Didn't hit either free throw. Binger's got plenty of time. Don't have to rush a shot. They could literally hold for the final shot of the game if they wanted to. She posts up, misses it. I personally would have probably passed it around just a little bit more to put more pressure on the defense, but it is what it is. They certainly give themselves more than enough time to get a stop here and then obviously get another crack at holding it for the final shot. The 5th team foul now, so that will take us into bonus the rest of the quarter for Apache. And she does get a little cushion there. First free throw is good. And another timeout called.
The 46 seconds remaining. 30 seconds remaining. Apache.
I don't get icing your own free throw shooter. It just seems to me to be taking a timeout at the wrong time for the wrong reason, the wrong way. That is my personal opinion, and I'm not making it a personal attack, but very peculiar. With the score 19-11 at halftime and then 21-12 at the end of 3, you've scored 3 points the entire second half, and you want to ice your own free throw shooter. I do not get that one. We'll see if it proves to be problematic or no big deal. And she missed it. So take that for what it's worth. 3 wins it, 2 ties it. Oh, bad pass. Apache reads that one, fires it down the court. This could be it. And we'll have a collision going for the ball, so that'll put it on the free throw line. 29 seconds remains.
Number 20, Alan Hickory. 17 for the Warriors. Holly Joe Harvey.
Harvey does her job, hits the first. So Binger now knows they need at least a 3 to tie the game. And they're going to have to get 2 scores now if they want to win. Here come the Bobcats. 26-22 Apache. They've led throughout. No ties other than the 0-0 game. And the shot is no good. So this is going to be an Apache victory. They're going to hold on here and be your consolation champion. 14 seconds remain. Well, Binger made it interesting in the 4th quarter, folks. But Apache is going to have the time and the points to hang on for the consolation victory. Four free throw shooting in the 4th and 3rd continues, though. Going to have to score immediately, going to have to score immediately, going to have to score immediately. And they don't, and that's your ball game. Final score, 26-22. Boone Apache are your consolation winners. for the 2024 Caddo County Basketball Tournament. In approximately 15 minutes, give or take, it'll be the Carnegie Wildcats versus the Mountain View Godebo Tiger Boys. Thank you for watching Prep Nation, and give us a couple of minutes and we'll reset the encoder. Boy, that one got interesting.
And as in the court, Pete Garfield, Director Pete Jackson, presents the compilation championship trophy to the Apache Lake Warriors.